Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome back. Once again, you're listening to the Entrepreneurial Web. I'm your host, Jeremiah Fox. We're going live from Brooklyn, New York today. I'm sitting in my restaurant, Della, on Prospect Avenue in Brooklyn, in a spot that my guest has spent many evenings at, one of his favorite places in Brooklyn. Before I bring my guest in today, I want to give you the message of the week. This comes from the induplicable, however you say that, unable to duplicate Gary Vaynerchuk. He released a short film earlier this week, and he's not necessarily a real estate guy, although his sister is, and she's been on the show. But he said this really great quote about building something that he heard a long time ago. He said, "I think about succeeding in one very simple story. There's two ways to build the biggest building in town. One, you either just build the biggest building in town, or two, you build a decent sized building and spend all of your time tearing down everyone else's building. Unfortunately, 95% of people try to do number two, but not my guest today. He's a real estate agent. He's a Halstead broker, actually, here in Brooklyn. And the dude is super positive, and he's just always looking up. He's never looking down. With that, I would like to introduce Tyson Lewis. Tyson, are you here?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can't see you, though.
I can't see. My screen is frozen, but
that's all right. It'll catch up.
If you can hear me, then so be it.
Maybe. Do you have pants on?
I do.
I was going to say maybe that's the problem. Hopefully the video catches up, because if not, everybody gets to just look at my ugly mug for the whole show. How you doing today?
I'm doing just fine. How are you?
Awesome. Outstanding. So this is another thing that I read. I was talking to you yesterday about just a plethora of articles that are coming out lately, and people are like going crazy on Facebook with. This is something from CNN Business that I read yesterday, and it said during the months that the coronavirus shut down NYC, the real estate market came to a halt. That changes on Monday, Phase 2, June 22nd, when the city reopens at a broader level and the local real estate market effectively flips the lights back on. But will the market ever be the same? That is a question we are going to try to answer at some point during this show. I don't need your complete thoughts on that just yet, but why don't you start by introducing yourself to our listener and viewership, and tell everybody, like, where are you from, where you grew up, how'd you get into real estate, what other silly things have you done along the way?
Well, my name is Tyson Lewis. I'm an associate broker with Halstead, which is now actually merged with Brown Harris Stevens as of a few days ago. So we are trying to figure out what we're calling ourselves at the moment. But I've been a real estate.
Wow.
Yep. It's very exciting. I've been a real estate agent for about almost exactly 12 years. Before that, I was a pretty active musician. I still am a musician, but real estate has kind of come to the forefront.
Well, you actually make money now, right?
Yeah, well, I had kids and needed to support someone besides just myself. I'm from Connecticut, but I've lived in New York City for about 20 years. And I've been in Brooklyn for about 16 of those years.
And you went to school in Vermont, correct?
I went to college at the University of Vermont in Burlington.
And what did you study there?
I studied anthropology.
What I really want to know is, how does that apply to real estate?
I'm not sure anthropology applies to anything involving humans. So,
okay,
we could get really deep into that. But when I was studying that, this was not the goal I had. I was actually planning to go law school.
So how does anthropology apply to law school?
Well, anthropology.
I'm kidding, man.
I don't know. It was
Nobody's
a liberal arts education. Nobody knew what they were doing. We were just.
Yeah. I was going to say, nobody's meandered more than me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the music thing, how did that come into play? Like, I actually went to school for music. I studied it, I have 2 degrees in it. And again, don't do anything monetarily with it. At least not at the moment. I might make a comeback. I might put the band back together.
We actually might as well.
Right.
About that. But I've been a piano player. I started playing piano when I was 5 years old, and I'm 46 now. And then when I came back to New York City from Vermont, I started taking it a little more seriously and got involved in a couple of different bands, and ended up joining up with a band called Hopewell that was based in upstate New York and had moved down to New York City. And we had a really good run of touring and playing actively for, 10 years.
Yeah.
I think I was probably with the band 8 of those 10 years. And then I needed a career path, and I figured, real estate is something that I could do, or I could still go on tour, and I could set my own hours and have complete control of my life and complete freedom. Turned out that was not even remotely true, but I fell in love with selling real estate. So here I am.
That's awesome. And prior to that, had you done anything that was kind of like in sales and entrepreneurial like and business?
Nothing I could talk about on a radio show.
It's okay. I confess that I used to sell weed on our first show. Sam was like, the executive producer was interviewing me, and he was like, what was the first thing that you did as like a hustle? And I was like, yeah, I sold weed in middle school.
Look,
you don't.
I lived in Burlington, Vermont for 9 years. How much more do you want me to say?
That's all. He was a mule. But, he was a Canadian mule.
No, aside from that, no, nothing really entrepreneurial. I was a paralegal for a while. That's hardly entrepreneurial.
What's that?
I was a paralegal for a while.
Oh, yeah.
That's hardly entrepreneurial.
No.
No.
And then,
I don't really. I never saw myself as a self-motivator. I never saw myself as someone who was going to be building their own business. I was always just trying to find something that I could fit into, that I enjoyed enough to keep doing. And the spirit of being a real estate agent, the spirit of what we do every day really kind of captured me and started a new chapter in my life.
That's crazy. So what does one have to do? I know you were kind of explaining to me last night, just like for your basic license, but what is the whole, like, what's the progression like going from like, I don't do anything in it to like the broker level? I think Tyson's taking a little break. It's that time. So one of the things while he's collecting his thoughts and putting his pants back on, is a little inside joke. We've had we have regular meetups close to my restaurant in Brooklyn as things have shut down. He's also his firm is with Alexandra Seguier, who's another super local lady, lives here in the neighborhood in Windsor Terrace and just really active in the community. Both of their kids have gone to local schools, and they've just participated in a huge way in the operation of the community and the schools and everything. And when you sell real estate in an area like this, it behooves you as a real estate agent. And it was a big learning lesson for me in terms of how to build a brand. Real estate people really do a great job with it because they're participating, especially if they live in the area that they're selling homes in. They participate in a huge way in the way the community operates. And they know all the businesses. I mean, it's really fascinating to me coming from, just a guy that was like literally started as a dishwasher and working my way up, and then at some point became an owner. I was completely ignorant to that, and they've all fascinated me with their participation in the community. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're gonna rope Tyson back in. We're gonna find him. We're gonna shackle him down and make sure he has pants on, and we'll try to get the video and everything locked back in. We'll be back in just a few. Everybody, you're listening to the Entrepreneurial Web.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.
run or are ready to open your own business? Hi, I'm Jeremiah Fox. I've been operating and opening small business for the last 25 years, and I'm the host of the new show, The Entrepreneurial Web. Tune in every Friday at noon Eastern Time for insights and stories on the nuances of running small business right here on Fridays at noon, talkradio.nyc.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
Talking Alternative Radio, 24 hours a day.
Welcome back, everybody. You're listening to the Entrepreneurial Web. Fun start to the show today. What do they say? It ain't a party until something gets broke. Tyson, are you with us?
I'm here. Sorry about that.
Finally, you guys don't have to stare at my ugly face anymore for the whole time. He's more handsome than I am. He gets his haircut. You got underground haircut guy, right? You had somebody like...
Oh, it felt great. It was amazing.
Speakeasy haircuts. We don't have to do that anymore. Starting Monday. That's amazing.
That's what they're telling us. Yeah.
That's what they're saying. So could you hear what I was saying at just before the last break? I was talking about... Well,
I missed the last minute or so.
I confess my love to you publicly.
I don't know what happened.
I was talking about how you, like people like you and Alexandra in particular, you're nestled in the community strongly. You know, your kids go to the local schools. You guys, I'm just fascinated by the way real estate people, especially in an area like where we live. I'm not sure if it's like that in other parts of the country and parts of the state or even parts of the city, but the active role people like yourselves play in the community, like shaping it almost. I mean, it's remarkable, and the way you all interact with local businesses and property values, and it's just fascinating. Do you want to talk about that for a moment, and then we can kind of double back and go back to like being a real estate person, or we can flip flop it, whatever you feel like.
Sure. Well, you know, I'll just speak for myself, but I think I could speak a little bit for Alexandra. We are really, you know, as you mentioned, we've raised our families in our community. We frequent the local restaurants like yours. You know,
I'm sitting in your seat right now.
My seat.
Just keeping it warm.
I mean, we are fully integrated in the community. It's for us. It's you know, our business is not transactional. It's about relationships. It's about you know, supporting our community and being part of it. Sometimes giving back. Obviously, this is our job. This is how we make our money. But at the same time, you know, it's more than just a transaction for us. And we live our lives that way. We run our business that way. We frequently look for creative ways to be part of the community besides just selling your home.
Yeah.
We have concert series. Unfortunately, our concert series this summer was canceled. We did one last year. That it was a great success, and it was a lot of fun, and it was just really good vibes all around. And you know, that kind of stuff doesn't translate directly into sales numbers or dollar signs. It can't be measured in crude statistics, but it can definitely, you can feel that it's important. And
Absolutely, 100%. Going from like not being involved in real estate at all to the point where you're at now, what's that timeline like? What are some of the things one must do if they wanted to follow in your kingly footsteps?
Well, it's not for everybody. When you start out as a real estate agent, you're probably not going to make any money for quite a while. So make sure you save some. And
like how long? How long are we talking?
Well, it depends on. There's no way to answer that. I mean, it depends on how motivated you are, how quickly you figure out a system that works for you. You might need to just get lucky here and there. The thing about it is, every single person that we know has to live somewhere. And whether they're renting, whether they're buying, they're selling, those are all points where we can connect with those people and turn that into a living. The faster you can get good at doing that, the more chance you have of having success. I mean, there are people that hit the ground running and have great success right away. It took me, I did okay, but it took me a couple of years to really figure out how to have the conversations the right way, how to be comfortable with. There's a lot of information. New York City real estate is very, very complicated.
Right.
And there are a lot of nuances to it. And, and to that point, I've been doing this 12 years. I feel like I have a pretty good amount of success under my belt, but I never stop learning. I'm constantly going to seminars and learning, and going to classes and continuing to educate myself. And I think that's something that you have to have. You have to want to learn. You have to be curious in order to do this job effectively.
So you have to start with some tests as well. You were telling me last night, it's like, you got to take some courses and pass the test, but it's not extremely intellectual. As long as you do your work, you can pass the test. And then probably a couple years where you're not really bringing it, where it's not like fully supporting you, and you'll need like another side hustle or money put aside to kind of weather the storm. And then you might get some wind under your sails. Is that?
Yeah, I mean, think about it. If you're selling your home, I mean, in New York City, you could probably close your eyes and throw a rock and hit a real estate agent, right? Yeah. So if you're selling your home, it's your most important asset. It's where it's financially, and it's also, you're trusting someone to be in your home. You're trusting them to handle the transaction the right way. There's a lot of things going on beyond the scenes that, as a seller, you're not going to see.
Yeah.
So why are you going to give that business to somebody who's never done it before or who's only done it twice? Mm-hmm. It takes a lot of trust. It takes, so, for me, it was about learning, not just learning the business, but also feeling confident enough to have the conversations with clients, whether they're buyers or sellers or what have you. And I people can sense when you're faking it.
Yeah. Or when you're, like you said, when you're just transactional, when you're just like, I'll sell your home, like, which is how I just imagined all real estate people being prior to like getting to know a number of you.
Some of them are. I mean, some of them are. And it really,
right.
One of the cool things about the business is that there are so many different types of personalities, and they're not, you can be lots of different types of real estate agents.
Yeah.
For me, I'm not salesy, but some people are, and that works for them. And we have all different types of clients, and that's the thing. There are some people that are just looking at numbers. This property they're selling is just an investment. This property they're buying is just an investment. What's the cap rate? What's my return on investment going to look like? And then there are people that, yeah, sure, they care about the money, they care about the numbers, but they know it's the place where their kid's going to feel safe, where they're going to spend most of their time, where they're really going to build memories and build something. And for those people, it's more of a balance between the investment standpoint and the personal.
Right.
And you have to, as an agent, you have to be nimble. You have to read what's happening. You have to figure out what's important to your clients, and really not just figure it out and use it, but really believe that it's important. It's important.
Yeah, that's great. So once you became a real estate agent, tell us about the transition to the broker level and what that looks like.
I think that the rules have changed a little bit since I did it. A broker is just, you start out as a licensed sales agent, and then you get a certain amount of experience, and you can take a broker test and become a broker. So it's really just kind of a higher level of education. I'm not sure what the requirements are these days. I think they're a little less than what I had to go through. There was a big point system, and I had to record all my transactions and take a test.
And what does that allow you, going from like just an agent to being a broker? What does that offer you? What's the incentive for doing that?
For me, it was just, I wanted to show my clients, and I wanted to show myself that that it was important to me to take it to the next level, to further educate myself. There's no real difference in terms of what we do day to day. We all, there are agents that are a lot more experienced than me that never become brokers. It's not really, if you are a broker, technically you can open your own office and hire people. I guess that's one thing. But,
right. I thought there was something to that effect.
Mm-hmm.
So you wouldn't have.
I have no designs on doing that.
So do you have to stay under the umbrella of a larger company like Halstead and Corcoran?
When you first become an agent, you have to associate yourself with a company. They don't just set you loose on the world. Thank God. You're supposed to, have some kind of mentorship and some kind of,
Yeah.
So, but you can go off on your own if you become a broker. Know people that have done it. There are a lot of independent brokers in New York City.
Mm-hmm. Right.
For me, I like being part of a company that has I don't want to be an IT guy. I don't want to, I want marketing tools. I want all kinds of stuff that big companies can offer. And,
right.
I'm not a manager. I just want to do my part of the store.
Right. So that's one of the benefits of that. And when you were at the focus group that we had here back in the fall, you talked about that at length, right? That, they handle, like, you can direct people to their website. It's, you're associated with it, but they take care of all of that kind of outreach where you deal with like your own social media and so forth. But on the larger picture, they just create this huge amount of reach for you.
It's a platform. It's a foundation you can build on, and you can get really heavily involved in designing your own marketing materials, and you can do that if you want to. But it's nice to know that, the technology in real estate is always changing constantly.
Yeah.
And
especially lately, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be more important than ever to stay at the forefront of technological innovation in this business. And I know people that have left big companies and opened their own shops and then ended up going back because they were like, I couldn't even be a real estate agent because I was constantly having to be an IT guy and learn how to do learn new programs and new technology just to keep up with the big companies. So for me, I don't have any.
Nobody got time for that. So besides, I know, the virtual thing became really popular since March, where people were, doing virtual tours of homes. Some people were buying houses and properties unseen.
Mm-hmm.
Besides that, what are some of the other, like, just things that you have to keep up with that are from the technological standpoint in the real estate industry, that just like are constantly changing but just really make your job and your life easier and give you a good reach?
Well, I mean, first of all, let me just say, I'm not sure we even know yet what is going to be important in the next in the next month. So
let's say like over the last year,
we can but we know that, having the ability to take a nice video of a property or do it virtually has been an option for years. But when it became a requirement that we were not allowed to actually physically enter apartments and show them, that became it kind of separated out the people that were taking the crappy cell phone videos. And I took a couple of those too. And I quickly learned, I was like, whoa.
We've all done it. Yeah.
Yeah. you're selling someone's biggest asset. It's so important. Presentation is everything. The presentation gives credibility to what you're doing. You could have the most beautiful home on earth, and if it's presented with crappy photos and no floor plan, and you're going to lose some of your target audience. It's going to decrease the pool of prospective buyers for that property. And so some of the new video stuff that's come out is really cool. I mean, we can get really in depth with it, but 3D cameras, I bought one that was recommended to me, and I think it's already almost outdated, and I bought it 2 months ago.
Wow.
The quality, one thing, the COVID situation has been terrible, but if there is a silver lining to some of this, is that it's forced some of the technology to really improve.
Yeah. On all fronts. So, you're seeing that on so many industries. It's just like,
right.
Your back was put against the wall and it was like, this has to happen now or we're going to crumble. And all of us are trying to prevent that from happening. Cool. Yep. We're going to take another break, man. Don't go away this time.
I won't.
Don't touch anything. All right, everybody. We'll be back in just a minute. You're listening to the Entrepreneurial Web.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network at www.talkingalternative.com. Now, broadcasting 24 hours a day. Talking Alternative.
Do you run or are ready to open your own business? Hi, I'm Jeremiah Fox. I've been operating and opening small business for the last 25 years, and I'm the host of the new show, The Entrepreneurial Web. Tune in every Friday at noon Eastern Time for insights and stories on the nuances of running small business right here on Fridays at noon, talkradio.nyc.
Do you love or are you intrigued about New York City and its neighborhoods? I'm Jeff Goodman, host of Rediscovering New York, a weekly show that showcases New York's history and its extraordinary neighborhoods. Every Tuesday live at 7 p.m., we focus on a particular neighborhood and explore its history, its vibe, its feel, and its energy. Tune in live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. on talkradio.nyc.
I'm the aptly named host of Tony Martignetti Nonprofit Radio. Big nonprofit ideas for the other 95%. Fundraising, board relations, social media. My guests and I cover everything that small and mid-sized shops struggle with. If you have big dreams and a small budget, you have a home at Tony Martignetti Nonprofit Radio. Fridays 1 to 2 Eastern at talkingalternative.com.
Talking Alternative Radio, 24 hours a day.
All right, everybody, welcome back again. You're listening to the Entrepreneurial Web. I'm your host, Jeremiah Fox, here with my guest, Halstead, Brooklyn-based real estate broker, Tyson Lewis. Tyson, did you mess with your video or audio?
I have not touched a thing. I have not moved.
I'll catch you. Nice. Good to have you back. Good to see you again.
Thank you.
So you said you started out 12 years ago. Were you already an agent during the real estate bubble pop that happened 2007?
No, I had the bright idea that I would become an agent right as that was happening, and people thought I was a little crazy.
Well, you are, but
yeah, maybe. But it didn't even occur to me that was a big deal until when I was looking around to see who I wanted to work with. They were like, "Why are you doing this right now?" But it was actually a great way to prove myself. I mean, I feel like if I could do it then and learn the business then during that horrible crisis, then
and survive, right?
Yeah.
Pretty similar feeling right now.
I will say, the market that I was working in, which was predominantly Park Slope at that time, is always a little bit insulated from broader market conditions. Yeah, it was bad. Things cooled off for a little while, but Brooklyn is what it is, and we rebound pretty quickly.
Right. And so how would you compare that to what's happening right now? Because it seems somewhat similar. Like all these articles and reports are just like, everybody's leaving New York. Everybody's leaving New York. Like New Jersey's hopping, Connecticut's hopping, Florida, people are like migrating south and everything. And when I talk to people like you, you're like, yeah, but Brooklyn's hot. Brooklyn's good.
First of all, what happened in 2008, 2009 was a housing crisis.
Right.
It's directly related to housing. This is not a housing crisis. This is a global health crisis that, obviously affects almost every type of business in some way. And of course affected housing just like any other business. But the reasons that people move, the reasons people buy and sell, those things haven't changed.
Right.
Yes, there are people that have left New York City. When you read all the stuff in the press, I don't know everything. We don't have enough data to show you right now, but my sense is that when they're talking about people fleeing the city, we're talking about Manhattan.
Yeah.
We are very much the suburbs out here in Brooklyn of Manhattan. We don't feel like we're in the suburbs, but we are. We are seeing a pretty healthy migration of buyers coming out from Manhattan who are thinking, I could spend $3 million on a 3-bedroom condo in Midtown, or I can spend $3 million and get a beautiful brownstone with a backyard, and still be in a relatively short commute. So some of the stuff we're hearing is a little bit skewed, I think. Sure, there are people. I am also licensed in Connecticut. I do business there, and it has become very hot. I'm sure New Jersey is the same way.
Yeah.
And increasingly, as people change the way that they work, I think that fewer people are going to have to commute every single day. So that's going to affect the housing market. But then we're in Brooklyn. I've never been so busy in my life. Never. We're hearing this from all of our agents. We have a really healthy, robust network of the top real estate agents in Brooklyn. We all kind of know each other, and everybody's saying the same thing. Everybody's so busy. Buyers are coming out of the woodwork. Interest rates are at historic lows. And so, I don't know, we'll see, I guess, on Monday.
How hot it really is.
My sense is that it's going to be, there was a really healthy balance of supply and demand right before COVID happened.
Right.
And we have, a dozen listings waiting to hit the market that were going to be launched in April and May. And they're all kind of just waiting for things to open back up again. Those are all still happening. And a huge roster of buyers who are just waiting to get out there and see properties. We're doing as much video and virtual stuff as we can, but no one's going to spend $1 million on something without actually seeing it. So,
right.
That's not true, actually.
A couple people.
I told
There's a couple.
I'd unseen last year, and that was kind of nerve-wracking. But generally, people want to see what they're buying.
And you don't sell or anything in Manhattan. You're strictly Brooklyn.
I do.
You do.
I mean, my business is based here in Brooklyn. Brooklyn is big enough on its own. I mean, I think a couple of years ago it eclipsed Chicago in population.
Right.
So
just Brooklyn.
Own borough, it would be the fourth biggest city. I mean, its own city, it would be the fourth biggest city in the United States. So we have a lot here. I don't, I feel like it's better to be really good at a specific area rather than spreading yourself too thin. However, of course, there's a lot of migration back and forth. We just closed yesterday a co-op on Park Avenue. So, we get we go there, and we have another condo listing coming up in Manhattan. So we do go there. It's just our focus is here.
Yeah. It seems like, and I'm just guessing because I don't know shit about real estate really, besides the information I get from you and people like you. But if from an investment standpoint, buying in Manhattan may be a good move over the next 6 months. Are prices are they dipping a little bit there because there's more inventory?
I Probably. I think it's too soon to tell, really.
Right.
I think that
that's why I gave myself a 6-month window.
Yeah. Again, if you were somebody who wants to sell your home, unless you absolutely have to, why would you launch that listing in the middle of COVID when we're not even allowed to show property, right? So I think that what we always tell our sellers, we know what we have a rough valuation. We know generally the ballpark of where we should be priced, but we always continue to have that pricing conversation up until the day we launch it, because there's always new data that might inform your pricing. Mm-hmm. Another apartment might pop up in the building at the same time that might change the way we think about things. So I just don't think that we even know really what the prices are going to look like even next week.
Right. So it sounds like a lot of gear shifting.
Yeah, I mean, of course, if there's a lot of inventory, then the prices are going to have to be a little bit more competitive.
Right.
And so I'm sure that any agents who are talking to prospective sellers in Manhattan are having that conversation. We're going to have to be realistic about this, and we're going to have to be nimble and be willing to test the market at a number, and then maybe quickly decide if that's not working, be willing to have a conversation about that and adjust.
Yeah. So a little more trial and error and just like really feeling things out going forward.
Yeah, because we've been pricing on the most recent data. The most recent data right now is suspect at best. I don't think it's even really telling us much of a story. So there's a lot of decisions being made from the gut right now. Yeah.
But so far, there hasn't been a drastic price drop.
If you're on the market, if you're we had a house that was on the market that came on in March, and then COVID really blew up, and she really needed to sell, and she elected to stay on the market, and we had to really adjust the price to get that done. But generally speaking,
right, more single, which that's something that would happen anytime, right? Like just life gets in the way and things happen, and you just got to short sell. But those are just like more like singular instances, right? At the moment, so far,
I don't think that. I mean, I'm sure there are lots of agents that will disagree with me, but I don't think that we're going to notice a huge discount in prices.
Right.
Some people are talking about maybe 10%, but I don't even see that really. I mean, I'm involved in 3 bidding wars as we sit here, and
Right. You said there were like bidding wars on rentals, right? Bidding up.
It's a bidding. Well, anything that had, especially in the middle of COVID, like in April and May, anything that had outdoor space suddenly got a lot more attractive to people. So, and we were seeing, a lot of people who are coming out from Manhattan who just want to find a rental, and they're accustomed to seeing rents that are much higher. Yeah. So, what we thought of as a high rent out here didn't seem so high to them, and
they're laughing at it.
Really throw a couple $100 more on it, and so.
Damn.
But it's all it's going to all sort itself out.
Yeah.
The history of the New York City real estate market is always an upward trajectory. I think the median sale price has gone up every year since like the 70s.
Right.
It's yes, there are always ups and downs, but New York rebounds, and especially our area of Brooklyn. As long as the park is wonderful, as long as there are height restrictions on the buildings, and it's hard to create a lot of new inventory. As long as people still find the schools to be very desirable, those things are always going to drive the market. And
classic Tyson, being positive, I love it. And then, how does the situation with people? I read some statistic about like 25% of New Yorkers didn't pay rent in May. I didn't hear anything about June, but between back rent or mortgages, do you see that playing any major factor, or just again more like bumps in the roadway as we go forward?
I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen any data on the rents. I mean, I hear that. I'm sure that, there are a lot of people that are in a very difficult spot right now. And, we've been telling our landlord clients, this is not a time to be very difficult. This is a time where we should all be more tolerant of each other. And yes, we know that you need this income to pay your mortgage, and but if you can help the tenant out, if you can give them a little bit of a break, if you can let them put off some of their payment till later. I mean, in the end, the rent is due. There's no such
There's been no forgiveness as far as that goes.
I mean, and with the mortgages, there was banks were being very lenient with people on their payments, but at the end of the day, those payments are going to be due. So I don't know what the long-term effect of that is going to be.
Right. And most of that was just for residential, right? Like private property owners. They weren't offering that to commercial property owners, or if you were a landlord of a building and you had tenants, like not necessarily even commercial, but you owned like an 8-unit building. Were the lenders really offering them anything?
Every lender's different. Somewhere. I think it depends on the relationship with the bank, and situation is, I don't think I can just give a blanket answer that covers every situation.
Yeah. From what I gathered, like commercial property owners got nothing. They were just like, no, your mortgage is due on your building, so you need to talk to your.
At the same time, though, I've heard really nice stories of commercial property landlords just giving breaks to businesses that have been in institutions in the neighborhood and been in place for a while, and recognizing that this sucks for everybody, and I'm not going to your business because technically your rent is due.
Right.
It's time that we all have to be a little bit more lenient with each other and tolerant, and try to help as much as we can.
Yeah. I have a feeling going forward, like basically anybody signing commercial leases from today onward is going to write some kind of, pandemic response into the riders, just to protect both parties, not to be like, hey, if this happens again, I'm off the hook for my rent, but some bit of negotiation, because right now there's nothing, I mean, it's no different than like a good guy clause, no businesses just went under that finally, you were able to write a good guy clause into a lease. And both parties got to kind of, smoothly and seamlessly adjust. I feel like the same will be true going forward in terms of signing commercial leases, because how can you get into like a 5-10 year lease, and the chances are something like this will happen again. Now that we've been through round one, there has to be I feel like there needs to be some kind of appropriate response from both parties, especially if the government's not going to offer anything. They're just like, I don't know.
I mean, this is wading into attorney territory, because any commercial lease, we would have an attorney be working on that. But we are seeing definitely COVID language being inserted into contracts for leases and contracts for sale.
Even for home purchases as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So all of you listening, get that good attorney, get that one that knows what's going on. All right, we're going to take one more.
This is not the time to be cheaping out on your attorney. Get the best.
Exactly. It'd be really costly. All right, we're going to take another break. One more. We'll be back in just a minute, everybody listening to the Entrepreneurial Web.
Talking Alternative Radio, 24 hours a day.
I'm the aptly named host of Tony Martignetti Nonprofit Radio. Big nonprofit ideas for the other 95%. Fundraising, board relations, social media. My guests and I cover everything that small and mid-sized shops struggle with. If you have big dreams and a small budget, you have a home at Tony Martignetti Nonprofit Radio. Fridays 1 to 2 Eastern at talkingalternative.com.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
TalkingAlternative.com.
All right, everybody, we're back again, the Entrepreneurial Web. I'm your host, Jeremiah Fox, with my guest, Tyson Lewis. He is a Halstead, Brooklyn-based real estate broker. We've been discussing the New York City real estate situation in general, some history, how to become a real estate agent in this wonderful town. But now, Monday, June 22nd, phase 2, apparently real estate agents can start to show homes again, restaurants. I was just looking out front and fantasizing about being able to put tables outside. We can apparently sit outside. You can get your nails done. You can get your hair done. I haven't heard about tattoos yet. Do you know anything about tattoos, Tyson? I'm due for one.
I'm not the person to ask about tattoos. I would like to have a table outside of your restaurant, though, because I'm tired of standing.
Yeah, because standing out there sucks for hours, right?
Oh, well.
Yes, fingers crossed. And you said you were given communication by a state lobby group, or local lobby group at least, that deals with the state, that in fact, green light for real estate agents. You may start showing again. You've gotten in the past.
We heard I actually heard it on the news yesterday, but we heard the Real Estate Board of New York notifies the brokerages, the member brokers, and that all trickled down to us as agents.
I got an email to the restaurant this morning saying it's a go. You know, there's a number of guidelines and stipulations that we have to follow, but it seems like phase 2 is in effect. Are you pumped?
I'm very excited. I mean, I'm not somebody who likes to sit still. And,
right.
I mean,
same here.
Not to say that I haven't been busy. We have been, like I said, busier than ever before, but busy in a different way, you know. Right. And it feels like there's a lot of pent up energy just waiting to come out. I mean, spring is our selling season. Spring is when we, you know, March, April, May, June is the highlight of our year.
Same here.
Passing us by while we sit
right
stare at our screens, and so yeah, I'm pretty pumped. There's going to be. I think we're still trying to figure out what all the guidelines are and what they mean.
Yeah.
You know, they're not going to be. We're not going to have open houses.
Yeah.
And I think that's wise for some time. Yeah. So you know, there'll be open houses by appointment, but
right.
At least we can, you know, legally show property, and I think that's what a lot of people are waiting for.
I think it's going to be similar to what you mentioned earlier about the technological advances, and now things are just going to be, the communication is going to be much clearer, I think, with potential clients and with vendors. It's just, you know, I think it's going to be the same at the restaurant where, you know, we have to have a lot of communication with people about when you're coming, how long you're going to be there, what the protocol is going to be like, which ultimately in our line of work is a good thing, right? I mean, we're always looking to get a more candid audience and connect like eye to eye. Forget the social media. Like you can't enjoy my food through Instagram. You know, you can't buy a home through Facebook, or can you?
You
Facebook,
can.
You can.
Totally can.
Jesus.
I'm not saying you should, but you can.
Right.
I would say also, you know, yet to that point, we're going to, some of the new innovations are not going to go away. And we also still have to be sensitive to the fact that there still is a terrible health crisis going on, and everybody's receiving it in a different way. Some people are, you have the group that doesn't seem to be as concerned anymore, and you still have a lot of people that are very, very concerned. And so we're going into apartment buildings with all types of people in them, and we have to be very sensitive to keeping people comfortable and safe. And so just because the state says we can show properties doesn't mean we necessarily always will. There are still co-op buildings that are saying we're not ready yet.
Right.
We're going to be a little more careful about how things are done. I think a lot of agents, including our team, are asking for a little bit more due diligence on any buyers that want to come in. We don't want, whereas we might have had an open house before and anyone can just walk in and walk around. If you're going to have an appointment, we want to know that this is a serious situation and qualify that buyer a little bit more. And the video thing's not going away. It's just going to get better and better. And so, any buyer that wants to come into any listing of mine I want to make sure that they've watched the video and looked at all the photos and the floor plans and really, really are serious and want to come see it before, I expose them to that property and vice versa.
Right.
And I think that's going to be the new normal for a while, at least.
But it's a great opportunity to, like you said earlier, you're always, trying to research and get better. It's a wonderful opportunity to just take it to the next level and become that real estate superhero that you're always telling me about.
That's right.
But I feel the same. I feel the same with everything that we're doing as well. It's like this. It's sure, there's a fine line we have to tread. But at the end of it, it gives us that chance to just show how awesome we can be and how much we care about.
Well, I know you're interviewing. Yeah, I know you're interviewing me, but can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go for it.
So, what have you thought about how reservations will work? Are you thinking about putting timelines on how long someone can stay so someone else can get in? What is that conversation going to be like?
Yes.
It matters for me too, because I spent a lot of time in your restaurant. So
right. Yes, we will go hard on reservations, but not with the outdoor seating, because I used to work at a place in Lower Manhattan that was 80% of the seating was outdoors. And it was really tough to take reservations because of weather. And then when you can't offer them anything inside, what do you do then? Yeah. And when you're using reservation platforms, they're charging you for that service. So while we're doing outdoor, if someone calls me and it's a nice day, another, lady that from the neighborhood walked by yesterday, her and her husband come in all the time. And she said, "Are you going to take reservations?" And I said, I'm not going to use a platform, but if you call me and you're like, "Hey, it's me, we want to come in an hour, I'll hold a table for you." It's just going to be old school for right now. But once we can seat in the dining room, we have to very clearly talk about timelines for people, spatialization, and really push, I think it's going to be mainly reservations, because we're going to have to make adjustments in terms of our staffing and everything. I mean, we're not out of the woods. I stayed open this whole time, but it was not a cakewalk, and we're not financially okay. And just because we can start to take a few tables doesn't mean all of a sudden relief. It's going to be I'm assuming through the end of the year, at least it's going to be still an uphill battle, kind of like those guys climbing the walls with the with the pegs. You can just go a little bit each time, and there's always this chance that you could just fall. That's how I feel like things are going to go. But again, it's just another great opportunity for us to connect with people, to maintain communication and outreach, and to show our values,
That's right.
So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. There is, I really tread carefully on this topic, because I hate to say that there's positivity coming out of a horrible situation, which is absolutely horrible. But one of the things that I've noticed is, waiting for your takeout outside of your favorite restaurant. Suddenly you're in conversations with people that you probably were never going to end up talking to. For me, it may not seem that way, but I actually have trouble being outgoing. And
I don't get that.
well, you fake it till you make it, right?
Yeah.
But I found myself talking to people that I probably would never have spoken to and engage in conversations, and actually feel more a part of the community now than I ever have before.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. To that effect, we're going to have to wrap it up. Where can people in the community find you? Where, like, digitally, outreach, how can people connect with you?
You can type in my name, Tyson Lewis Halstead, or Tyson Lewis Real Estate into Google, and I'll pop right up. I'm on Halstead's website, and you can always come to Della and order the amazing pesto and ask.
You were supposed to say it 3 times. You failed. You only said it once. No, I'm kidding. And Instagram too. You're pretty active on Instagram. That's
right.
Like your main platform.
Is what is it? At Tyson Lewis Real Estate.
Telling you got to get on that TikTok tip. That's next. Talking about video.
My assistant is a millennial, so we're
you got to get a Gen Z for TikTok though. Then millennials don't even know what's going on with that. It's changing too quickly, man. It's like real estate.
Well, I have a 13-year-old daughter, so
there you go. Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I look forward. Your table awaits you. Be our guest.
So thank you.
All right. Thanks, Tyson. You take care. You all have a great weekend. Stay safe. Be careful out there in phase 2, but we gotta do our best. So you do your best. We'll do our best. Have a great weekend. You're listening to the Entrepreneurial Web.
Talking Alternative Radio, 24 hours a day.
Do you run or are ready to open your own business? Hi, I'm Jeremiah Fox. I've been operating and opening small business for the last 25 years, and I'm the host of the new show, The Entrepreneurial Web. Tune in every Friday at noon Eastern Time for insights and stories on the nuances of running small business right here on Fridays at noon, talkradio.nyc.
I'm the aptly named host of Tony Martignetti Nonprofit Radio. Big nonprofit ideas for the other 95%. Fundraising, board relations, social media. My guests and I cover everything that small and mid-sized shops struggle with. If you have big dreams and a small budget, you have a home at Tony Martignetti Nonprofit Radio. Fridays 1 to 2 Eastern at talkingalternative.com.
Hey, all you crazy listeners. Looking to boost your business? Why not advertise on Talking Alternative with very reasonable rates? Interested? Simply email at info@talkingalternative.com. Talking Alternative.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network at www.talkingalternative.com. Now, broadcasting 24 hours a day. Talking Alternative.
Do you love or are you intrigued about New York City and its neighborhoods? I'm Jeff Goodman, host of Rediscovering New York, a weekly show that showcases New York's history and its extraordinary neighborhoods. Every Tuesday live at 7 p.m., we focus on a particular neighborhood and explore its history, its vibe, its feel, and its energy. Tune in live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.